Hi, let's understand the roles and responsibilities of a product manager. We are going to cover who's a product manager, the product manager versus others, and what is a day in the life of a product manager. So, who is a product manager? Well, this may sound very overwhelming, and it is. No one said that this job is easy, but it is incredibly satisfying. Let's move along to understand other aspects of this role. So, from 5 buckets of product management framework, the skills needed to be a good product manager, you need to understand design skills, which is visual design patterns, HCI guidelines, UX guidelines, advanced user research, information architecture, engineering skills, how APIs work, MCP framework, how mobile apps work, and so on. Business skills, right from how pricing works to how to guesstimate to how to create business cases, market scoping, market research, market sizing, to influencing skills like rallying opinions, articulation of value, evangelism, conflict resolution, synthesis skills like taking input from various sources and synthesizing them into coherent vision. I mean, the list can just go on, and by all means, this is not comprehensive, right? So, a product manager is the ultimate role accountable for the success or failure of the product, and that's why uh, the roles, or I should say, the responsibilities are a little fluid. You might need to have you might need to do anything and everything possible to make sure that the product is successful, because ultimately you are the one accountable for it. But interestingly, uh, it is important to understand that as a product manager, you are only accountable for the product, and you do not have any authority over designers, developers, and other stakeholders. You will typically be reporting to the CEO, and this is by design. So imagine, will the designers, developers, and other stakeholders be truthfully honest to you? If they were reporting to you, they won't, right? So how do you get them to work? Well, by influence. Your influence, your logical approach, and command on the subject matter should be such that the stakeholders respect your opinions and look up to the solutions that you create. This again is by design. With just influence to work with, a product manager has to be thorough with his approach. In this regard, the role of a product manager is very close to a CEO, but unlike CEO, you hold no authority over a team. This may seem daunting, and no, I won't comfort you. It is a daunting job, but incredibly comforting, incredibly satisfying. You'll make good money, be widely respected, assuming you do your job well, and because you will have great diverse skills apart from the skill of working with a cross disciplinary team, you will be able to transition into any other role if at all you wish to. A lot of product managers become great CEOs exactly because of this. Read up on Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai, and so many others. They all were product managers. What are the different skill sets? Well, this is a framework very widely popularized by Pragmatic Marketing Framework. They happen to have a similar name as us, where the skill sets ranging from strategy all the way to execution. And for market, what are the different skills? From focus, what are the different skills? A good product manager ends up doing almost all of these things, and in very in very detailed fashion, and some in a very shallow fashion. But you never know how deep you have to go in product portfolio, or how deep you have to go into user personas. It depends on the company to company, product to product. The maturity of a product manager, when you're going through all these skills, you know uh, so from the description given till now, it may appear that product managers command enormous authority and can get anything done. But truth is really far from it. Statements like product managers are mini CEO of the product doesn't help either. Since being a CEO sort of gives an impression that a product manager has absolute authority over their team members and can get their way. Fact is, no one reports to product managers, like I said earlier. Yes, within the product team, there may be some hierarchy, but no developer, designer, or anyone else reports to the product manager. So product managers have to be true product leaders or leaders to be successful. in this sense, the term manager is a misnomer, and a better term would be a leader. And as a leader, you lead people via your subject matter expertise, clarity of vision, and hence influence. As a manager, you manage people who report to you. As a leader, you lead people with influence. Now, for this leadership, you need to have a certain maturity, and that maturity goes through the 6 stages. You need to have customer experience grounding. You need to have market orientation, that is, you can understand market trends, partner ecosystems. You have you have good business acumen. You are comfortable with business strategy, portfolio prioritization, go to market, pricing, and tracking key performance indicators, etc. You should be comfortable with technical skills, ability to go deep on technology trends, architectural questions, and so on. You need to be very, very good with soft skills. And I can't emphasize this enough. You need to be very good with soft skills because a product manager typically will be the communication hub. He'll be the one communicating requirements across different functions. And hence, you should be able to communicate very clearly and be able to address issues proactively. And typically, a product manager is an enabler. And as you go from customer experience grounding that levels 1 all the way to level 6, that kind of shows the maturity of product manager. If he has all of this, he'll be a fantastic product manager. And if I do a quick product management competency design, starting with business ethics, starting at the bottom, all the way going to the top where strategic leadership falls. Well, just look at analyst versus director versus SVP VP, right? So your role effectively switches from operational heavy to strategic heavy as you move up the ladder. Okay. At the very bottom, you'll be looking at managing financials, managing multiple priorities, attention to detail, and managing risk. You need to develop your skills. You need to promote a teamwork. These are some of the core competencies you are expected to have. And as you move up, from operational to tactical to strategic, you get better and better, and your role will also improve with your competency improvement. And a typical career map for product management runs from these tracks, right from technical writing, language translation, to engineers, to media developers, going all the way to team lead UI development, to team lead language translation, converting into manager in your domain, to program manager, and then finally delivery lead or head product development, all the way to head of the company, right? So you can start from anywhere in entry level, middle level, or leadership level, and this is the kind of career map that you can expect. There are some amount of lateral movement that you can expect, but not much. Typically, you will be moving vertically. Now, this is a very interesting subtopic: product manager versus project manager versus product designer versus product owner, and this has been asked to me so many times. Well, a product manager uh, takes care of in the classical sense, product manager is the one who is communicating with or coordinating with the marketing, sales, and customers to segment, to message, to figure out the benefits, features, pricing, demos, etc., and is collecting the field inputs and market feedback from the marketing, sales, and customers audience, right? Versus product managers communicating, coordinating with the CXOs to understand, to get the budgets, the staff, and the targets, while he's feeding in the strategy, the forecast, the commitments, the roadmap, etc., to the CXOs, right? And the product owner is typically working only with the engineering team, right? And is managing the timeline releases, the market information, the MRD, priorities, etc. This is the way the flow is moving. And a lot of companies, product manager and product owner are the same people in a lot of companies. But as the company it evolves, or if it's very, very engineering heavy, typically they will have a separate product owner just for the engineering. They will have a dedicated product owner. Otherwise, you will most likely see product manager doing product owner's job as well. So once again, product manager versus product owner. Well, product manager owns the vision. He directs the product owner. He delivers the release, market sensing, release objectives, strategic direction, etc. Product manager owns, while product owner takes care of implementation, takes direction from PM, delivers the iteration, tracks the internal deliveries, iteration objectives, day-to-day direction, and so on. They should give you a very good understanding of what these different roles entail. So product manager will do the market research and provide it to product owner. Will product manager will do the vision, voice of customer, or be the champion of voice of customer and provide that information to product owner. Similarly, project manager would ensure the project meets its objectives. That is, he will coordinate the product owner and make sure the project is as per the objectives. Similarly, project manager would visualize, communicate, and radiate information all the way to Scrum Master, right? And project manager will try to remove the impediments that a Scrum Master might be facing. A Scrum Master would be responsible for running the Scrum properly, right? So who owns what? Once again, let me just take this moment to explain this even slightly in detailed way. So product manager would be taking care of a business case realization, portfolio management, competitive analysis, the marketing, whole product in general. Product owner is responsible for ensuring that user stories are ready, backlog grooming is done, product owner will do a close collaboration with the development team. We'll do the release tracking and we'll do the story acceptance tests. And both of this combined kind of discuss and own the vision. Typically, product manager is more responsible for the vision, but still, the lines are getting very, very blurred. Both will look at release planning, both will look at personas, they will all work together, but effectively, this is the split. But like I said, this varies from company to company. So, in your own company or the company that you plan to end up, things might be pretty different, right? So these are the four different roles which we typically refer. So product designer answers how it should be built for a product. Product designers actually design the product to the specs of the product manager and to optimize the product to achieve the goals of the customer. This can range from theorizing and testing different ways to achieve certain outcomes to actually building and iterating on a product. Product designer's job is to explore the solution space before even the coding begins. So, for example, here are three different approaches to solving the problem. That's the kind of solutions or kind of things that you will get to hear from a product designer. I always like to think that the product manager is the expert on the user. It is the PM's job to really understand the needs of the customer and make sure that the product meets the customer's needs. The PM also needs to prioritize the ideas that enter the product pipeline and make sure that they are optimizing ROI. The designer needs to follow the PM as the second most knowledgeable about the customer. Once the problem space is defined by the PM, the designer works with the PM and dev team to identify the optimal manifestation of the product to the user. This requires expertise in not only visual design, but also interaction design, information architecture, and conceptual design. If this was not already complex, the principles for each of these differ for content sites versus web application sites versus the different apps that are coming up. Well, program manager. Program manager is the most common title in Seattle, for example. It first came into use when Jabe Blumenthal, an Excel team member in the early days of Microsoft, took it on. He realized that the programmers were spending a ton of time writing code, but no one was balancing customer needs with marketing requests. He decided to use the program manager title to fill that gap. He viewed himself as the voice of the customer and started writing functional specification. Due to its origin, the program manager role is nearly always technical and relates to programming. Program manager specifications often have more details than product manager specifications. You can often think of them as technical product managers, right? So TPMs or program managers kind of play the same role. Program managers are likely to get a little closer to how things are implemented. They're also more likely to manage details like how to handle error cases, success cases, and so on. Since the program manager typically lives in engineering, they are also often insulated from the financial and services sides of the company. Instead, They are a core piece of the engineering team. They often rely on other teams to get advice on the competitive landscape and other external forces. While they are still a central point of contact, their interactions with other roles like the product planners are less frequent than with engineers. The program manager's success is evaluated based on if reliable and usable software is delivered for the release on time. There are a couple of more links in the notes. I will recommend that you read. So, product manager versus project manager, once again, this is a very good comparison between what a project manager does versus what a product manager does on a day-to-day basis, on the plan and design side, execution side, and so on. Okay, I will leave it with you so that you can refer it back. And there's one more example of all the tasks that a project manager versus product manager does. Now, this is a very interesting research that was done by McKinsey, I suppose. Uh, what is the archetype of product managers? I will explain what is archetype in a very recent in a lecture separately. But for the time being, you can understand archetype as a general observation or general class in which you can put a product manager. General category you can put a product manager. So the mini CEO is a dominant archetype of Silicon Valley product managers. Okay, important to understand Silicon Valley product managers. In a lot of other countries, in a lot of different geographies, the archetype can be completely different. Okay, so for example, you can see technologist, the generalist, and the business-oriented PMs as a common archetypes. Technologist kind of PM is expected in a VMware, Amazon Web Services kind of a company. A journalist is expected in Facebook, LinkedIn, Airbnb, right? Now, Amazon and Alphabet have so many different products that it scales from technology to journalists continuously, right? And a business-oriented product manager would be expected in a Salesforce, Zynga, Chase, SAP kind of a company. So, what is a day in the life of a product manager looks like, given that he does so many different things? Well, he's a king of context switching. There are numerous reports on what a person typically does, but he'll end up doing strategy work, he'll do tactical, he'll be doing a lot of meetings. In fact, if you ask a typical product manager, what have you done in the entire day, he will typically say meetings. So a lot of meetings, compiling those responses, those answers, putting them together, managing others, communicating with the senior team, talking to the customers. It happens almost on really fast pace, right? Uh, and to conclude, the roles and responsibilities across the product management sphere range right from being very technical to very marketing oriented to very business oriented to being very generalist and being able to understand all of these things and execute it. In a typical setup, to be very honest, unless you are in a very, very large company, you will be doing almost everything. I spoke about very specific roles in this entire discussion, but typically be prepared for almost everything. Unless you're joining a very large company where you get a very specific thing to do. For example, you're an API product manager or a search product manager or something like that. You might end up being a very specific technical product manager, which is fine. But you will not need to have a lot of business acumen or something else. Right? That's all. Take care.